Well, I hope so. Of course, the conference is still going on, but I think the big thing that it has managed to achieve is that it's taken on from the Lugano conference, which was more about principles, and this year we're talking about concrete plans. And I think probably the most exciting thing is the number of British businesses who have turned up because they are interested in participating in the rebuilding of Ukraine. I have met more British businesses for the first time in this conference than I have my whole 4 years in the job. Yes, although when I started to work, nobody expected COVID either. So, and I do think there is a link between the two. So I started the job thinking about a strategic relationship around Euro-Atlantic integration and focusing on reforms and spending most of my time working on that. But COVID split us all from our families, including me from mine. And then as soon as we came out of COVID, we were into the expectation of this invasion. So it's not been in any way a normal 4 years for me. Yes, and it's a good question. But the UK has taken its cue from Ukraine in all things. So the military support that we give is based on what Ukrainians, tell us they think they need for the fight, and reconstruction support that we give follows the same principle. We were asked if we would co-host this conference, and we agreed because we could see that there was a commitment inside Ukraine to not wait for the end of the fighting, but to begin to rebuild and recover before that. So it was really clear to my colleagues and to our ministers, if this is what Ukraine felt they needed and wanted to do, then our job as an ally was to support Ukraine to do that. That's why we agreed to co-host this conference, and that is also why we thought it was an opportunity for businesses from everywhere, actually, not just the UK, to be a part of that. So the UK supports Ukraine joining NATO. So in that sense, the Foreign Secretary was reflecting UK policy. He's also right that it is possible for a country that wants to be a member of NATO to make progress towards it without necessarily going through the membership action plan process. What I can't tell you is what will happen at the Vilnius summit, because as you say, I am not part of those negotiations, but he is factually laying out potential scenarios. So I have two answers, sorry, but I'll try to be brief about them. I think the business-like answer, is that it has resulted in concrete commitments. So there will now be a lot of work for the UK and Ukraine handing over to Germany for next year to make sure that those progress. That's the main concrete outcome. The less concrete outcome for me, the main thing that I see out of this conference, that's hope for the future. And if you live in Ukraine, you don't have too much time to set aside to think about that. You are living your life and doing what you can for the war effort. So it doesn't matter actually whether you're Ukrainian or you work for a diplomatic mission, and especially if you live in Kiev, you are under fire like many other parts of the country. So you focus on everything you need to do to be inside the country. This has been an opportunity to come away from the country with many other people who support Ukraine and think about the future. To be able to go back to Ukraine with that sense of motivation and hope for a longer term stable future of Ukraine, where so many countries and so many sectors are willing and ready to participate in the building of it. That's really inspiring.